the Ground and Pound Show, bringing you the best in St. Louis MMA. I'm Stephanie Emily, and on today's show, we'll be going over the highlights from Cage Championships 38. We have a great interview with Kyle Watson, and we'll also be previewing the upcoming Nemesis show. And now, here are your hosts, Adam Rasile and John Minke.
Thanks, Stephanie. This is the Ground and Pound Show. I am the Magic One, John Merlin Minke.
And I am Adam Rasile. Announced earlier this week, Zach Freeman will be taking on a game Aaron Darrow July 27th at the Rumble Time Show at the Ameristar Casino. John, you know a little bit about Aaron Darrow and Zach Freeman.
I do. I'm actually teammates with Zach Freeman, and I've used to live in Kansas, and I had a long history with the Kansas City scene, so I know Aaron Darrow quite well. The key to this fight really is going to be that range of Aaron Darrow. They don't call him Daddy Longlegs for no reason. In an earlier fight of his, he went against a very, very experienced UFC veteran in Rich Clemente. Clemente had controlled most of the fight, and then in the third round, Aaron Darrow was able to pull off an excellent triangle choke to win the fight. Since then, he's had some decent success. He did lose a fight to Alonzo Martinez, and I think that's going to be the key to this fight, is being able to stay disciplined enough, long enough to not get caught up in those long legs and inside his guard where he's very, very tricky. If Freeman's key to victory on this is simply to use his strength advantage, throw big shots standing, and then just keep postured up while he's in the guard. Pick his shots, and eventually he'll win the fight.
Justin Lawrence also has his next fight at UFC 150 in Denver, Colorado against Max Holloway.
Max Holloway recently won a decision over thrilling Pat Schilling at the Ultimate Fighter finale. Now, in the UFC, he's 1-1, but that one loss was to Dustin Poirier, a very, very highly respected 145er.
This will also be Lawrence's debut at 145, coming down from 155 after his first victory in the UFC at the Ultimate Fighter finale.
Yeah, I believe this is a really good move for Lawrence. I think that even though he did win by devastating knockout in his last fight against John Coffer, but I think it was obvious that he was struggling with some of the height advantages that his opponent had. He was able to mix up punches very well, and it gave, and let's be honest, he gave Lawrence a little bit of trouble. But that's okay. I think with this weight cut, I think he does have it to lose, and I think that will kind of even out the playing field on the height advantage that a lot of his opponents will have, and really allow him to flesh out his stand-up a lot better.
And coming up is a breakdown of Cage Champs 38. Welcome back to the Ground and Pound Show. Last Saturday night, Cage Championships returned to Cage Championships 38. This featured Dave Coulter versus Chris Heatherly. What do you think about that matchup?
I mean, what can you say about it? This was Chris Heatherly, also known as Stump. This was Stump's second pro fight, so again, they're wanting to slowly test the waters with him, see when the difference of going from amateur, where of course there's built in those opportunities to make mistakes, to now pro, and anything you do will follow you for the rest of your career. So I know they do want to start him slow, but it doesn't really seem like it was much of a challenge.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Anyone that you put against Heatherly, it seems like they just kind of they go down quick. He comes out strong. If you're not prepared to move around the cage and you're not prepared to eat a flurry, then you're going to be in the same situation that Coulter was. I mean, obviously, there wasn't much he could do.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's, I think we're pretty much both in agreement that it's time for Heatherly to go ahead and take a small step up. I don't believe that he needs to go out there and find some 10-0 beast to fight right out of the gate. Of course, I do think that it's time to take a next step and on the ladder. And the truth is, Heatherly, coming out with such a decorated amateur background, he's going to start higher on the ladder than a lot of fighters would when they first enter into a pro career. So you can test a guy like that, but I do understand the apprehension and wanting to take time. I think we saw at the end of the fight, Chris came out there, threw a couple of kicks, landed a punch. Coulter immediately turned, he got the back, rear naked choke, pretty standard stuff. And then jumped up on the cage and then kind of looked at the cage like, hey, I'm glad I made my car payment. I think that's about as thrilling as it was for him. It didn't have that the victory, the thrill of victory. And he's got a lot of fights. He's got close to 25 fights now between his amateur and pro career. And I can understand that, and this is not the kind of fight that's going to get him excited.
I definitely think that Chris is ready for bigger and better competition, and during an interview with Brett, he actually mentioned a particular St. Louis fighter that he's looking to go after.
I'm ready to step up the competition level. We're talking, we're hopefully looking to get a guy like Sal Woods maybe for the next fight, big name like that.
Yeah.
He's a real tough guy. I'm just looking to fight guys that are tough and want to fight. I'm glad to come out here and get a big victory on a great show. Cage Championships puts on a great show. Pat Smith. Just looking forward to fighting again. But to get noticed around here, you're not gonna get noticed beating chumps up. Not saying that Coulter's a chump or anything, but I'm gonna have to fight guys that are big name guys. Like I said, Sal Woods, Garrett Gross. 170 pounders that they're known around here. I want to fight on the big show. That's my dream.
Yeah, it sounds like Stump agrees with us. Trying to get a fight with Sal Woods, a very tough local fighter, is really ambitious, and it really should give us an opportunity to see what Heatherly brings to the table, a lot more so than these last two fights. I really think that any promoter that puts that fight on is going to be in for a treat. Should be fireworks, and fans will show up to see it, as they're both very, very popular fighters.
Also that night in the featherweight division, Alex White faced Mark Wynn.
Yeah, this fight was nothing but fireworks. Both fighters really kind of got out in the center of the ring and really threw leather at each other. We don't often get to see fights like that.
Yeah, going into this fight, I thought during Alex's amateur career, as well as his first pro fight, seeing him get hit, he never really got hit hard, and I didn't know exactly how he'd handle it once he did get that big shot, how his chin would react, how things would go. But obviously, seeing the huge hits that were landed on him and him just going with it.
Yeah, he was really stone-faced. I actually kind of had an interesting perspective. I was in his corner for that fight. Alex is one of the fighters that I also get to work with occasionally. What really was a big worry for us is that during the weigh-ins, at I want to say the day of the weigh-ins at 10 a.m., the fighters camp called us and said that asked for a catch weight of 50 instead of 45, and it's like okay, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do 50, no problem. And then when we show up to weigh in, Alex weighs 149.5 like he's supposed to. His opponent comes in at 55. So we were really worried about that extra weight that his opponent would have and how that would play into what kind of damage he could do. And as we saw, he definitely was a heavy hitter. Alex can just take a punch. He can take a punch, and he used his height to kind of stay out of range. Made some mistakes and kind of came inside his opponent's range a little bit too much, inside Mark's range too much. Was able to establish his knee strikes a little bit to the body. That really started to pay off. And once Mark started to try to take Alex down, I knew that he'd be just fine.
Yeah, it seems that Alex, his comfortable spot, obviously he's comfortable on his feet. He's comfortable doing Muay Thai in the back, before. But I've seen him on the ground, and it seems like anytime he goes on the ground, immediately he can be on top, he can pull guard, he can get people off reaching his legs up over their head like it's nothing.
He fights with a really kind of like unrefined style of jiu-jitsu, I should say. Of course, fundamentals of submissions and things that need to be fundamentally sound are, but he does kind of have a different style of jiu-jitsu, and I definitely always try to encourage that. You can't come in there with cookie cutter techniques and not expect your opponent to not know how to counter those. So once Alex was able to get the sprawl and start transitioning to the back, made a nice move to the back. Unfortunately, Mark, being an experienced fighter himself, created a good quick scramble and ended up creating a reversal position, ended up in Alex's guard. Alex quickly climbed in for the triangle. Mark defended, and then transitioned to the belly down armbar and flipping him over and finishing him right then. So I think it was a really good win. It was interesting because the first thing out of his mouth was afterwards, it's like, hey, do I get a stripe on my white belt for that? So.
And in the main event, Jake Collier faced journeyman Sean Huffman.
Yeah, I think we've seen this fight before. It's at the beginning of every single Rocky film where Sylvester Stallone's standing there punching the side of beef. Huffman really didn't have anything for Jake Collier. It was Jake though.
Yeah, what I really want to see is I want to see Jake Collier against somebody that will stand with him and equal his offense. It seems like Jake's not getting to where he needs to be as far as his opponents. It seems like everybody that he's faced, they can't handle him, either on the ground or standing. doesn't matter where it goes. It just seems like Jake is way better than the opponents that are being put in front of him. And I mean, I would like to see Jake up against some top contending local professionals.
I do agree to a point. I think that if you find a fighter that's going to really focus on trying to stand with him, I think really you're basically still picking Jake's opponent at that point. I think you're picking somebody that does want to fight with him in his realm. I would like to see what Jake can do against somebody who's a competent grappler or submission fighter with high quality wrestling. I think that's, if you want to see really if Jake is ready to break out onto the international scene, which I really do think he has the ability to, he's going to have to get over that hurdle before he does that. Now I know he did have a loss to Bellator veteran Kevin Tiller, I believe is his name. Somebody he's actually beaten as an amateur, so he's proven that he can beat Kevin Tiller. But that was his one loss. He did get caught in a submission. These last two fights after that, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. I do think that Sean is a competent fighter. I just don't think he really came out there, really put himself in position to be able to win a fight against a much larger Jake Collier, as opposed to fighting at his better weight class, which is 55.
Well, I definitely agree. We actually had an opportunity to catch up with Jake after his victory, and here's what he had to say.
I'm happy, that guy had a lot of experience. He's fought everybody, and like I said, he's a tough guy, but he ain't fought me, and I feel confident. I'm happy with my victory.
Right before you kind of got him in the clinch there to end it, you really peppered him with kind of a blizzard of strikes. Just kind of take us through that.
Well, I seen him covering up. I caught him as a good jabbing early, and I seen him wincing and covering up, and once he did, I just pressured him. And you pressure guys, you can break them, and that's what I did, and it worked out for me.
Coming up next is Brett's interview with Kyle Watson, and also Minky's Minute. A whole minute of John Minky saying whatever he has to say.
Welcome to Kicking the Cage Side with Brett Ott, and here we are with Kyle Watson. Kyle, big news coming up. I guess you're going to be down at the UFC Fan Expo with hopefully a Brazilian super fight. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. The UFC, in conjunction with their Fan Expo that they have in Las Vegas coming up, they always have a grappling tournament there too, and Grappler's Quest runs that. So Brian Simmons from Grappler's Quest and one of the matchmakers for the UFC contacted me and asked if I'd be willing to do a grappling super fight, and I was like, oh, of course, man, I'm on board. I love any time to showcase my grappling skills, and plus obviously in front of that kind of fan base, those are my people, and so it's good to kind of get in front of them, get a little more exposure. But it'll be pretty exciting. So I'll have a matchup on Friday of the Expo, and it's actually a 4-man tournament. So if I win on Friday, I will be back against Saturday to fight in the finals. Don't know who I have as an opponent. There's been some names tossed around a little bit. First, they were talking about maybe Bill Cooper, a couple other names. But typically, they try to match up a really good, respected jiu-jitsu guy that's got a lot of grappling credentials. They try to match them up with a well-known MMA fighter that also has good grappling credentials. So it usually makes for an exciting matchup. So we'll see who I get. Either way, I'm coming there to bring it.
Well, tell us a little bit about your website.
Yeah, absolutely. The website is, it's something I feel like, I want to connect with people on. Not only is it a way that people can find out where my school is, what we offer, and like our background, but it's also a way to communicate about what's going on with my students. I like it to be a resource so my students can, see what the most current news is and see what's happened recently and what have you. But I really like the traffic of people coming visiting the site, seeing what we have to offer and coming. It's watsonbjj.com as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. watsonbjj.com.
Kyle, I appreciate you for coming out the first episode of Kicking It Cage Side, and thanks again for taking time and stopping by.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, and if you guys are interested, come check out Watson Martial Arts and try it out for free.
So I'm on Facebook, and this guy makes this post about all fighters deserving respect just because they step in the cage. I say, yeah, I can understand that, maybe at the pro level. What about amateur shows? How many times have you paid $30, $40 to go to an amateur show to see a fighter 50, 60 pounds overweight, swatting his hands around like he's trying to knock horseflies out of the air and call it staining and banging? So, and then he goes back to his friends and he says, yeah, I'm a warrior. All right, I'm a warrior. Look at what I did. But he didn't do anything about diet. He didn't train for the fight. He just wanted the accolades of getting in there and fighting. It reminds me of a story Buddy tells me. So we're sitting there and he says, hey, yeah, so when I was a kid, I decided to get in this talent show. So I get in this talent show and I decided that I'm gonna learn how to play Slayer's Rain and Blood. So he learns the talent show, goes out there and just kills it. You know, for a 12-year-old kid, he did a really good job. Well, he doesn't win a talent show. Who wins a talent show? We've got this young girl with Down syndrome. She put her ballerina outfit on. She's a little overweight, and she danced across there, and she really impressed everybody. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're so brave. We're so proud of you for doing this." And she ended up winning the competition. I can understand that in a situation where there's not people aren't paying good money. But in those fights, if you're 10, 15, 30, 40 pounds overweight, you're out there swatting, you don't train, you don't take this sport seriously, you know what you are to me? A fat, retarded ballerina jumping around in the cage. And that's the Mickey Minute.
Wow, John, thank you. Coming up this weekend, June 30th, the Nemesis Fighting Alliance makes its return to Festus, Missouri. Some great fights on the card. The main event is Malcolm Smith versus Chad Williams. How do you see this fight going?
I think what we've got is we've got probably a superior striker in Malcolm Smith, but we have superior size, range, and wrestling ability with Chad. I really feel like that'll probably be the main determining factor in this fight. Unfortunately, Chad is cutting a ton of weight. He is a very, very large guy, and he is a very, very decorated NAI wrestler. He's an All-American. Multi-time actually. Malcolm hasn't faced anything like that. Now, where Malcolm can be smart in this fight is the longer he draws this out, the longer he takes it, because this is a 5-round fight. The longer he takes it, the better it is definitely in his favor. So for him, the key is definitely going to be realizing at some point he is going to get taken down. When that happens, he needs to play close and tight. He doesn't need to sit there and try to bridge out everything, which he typically does, because he's very powerful and he does it very successfully. Chad's not the kind of guy you're going to be able to play that kind of strategy with. He's going to have to slow it down and really look for his opportunity when he gets back up to his feet, and then he can really start landing one shot at a time. One shot becomes two, and then look for his opportunity to unleash his excellent block.
And also on the card for the co-main event is Shane Moffitt versus Daniel Bannon. Let's touch a little bit on this. How do you see Shane dealing with Daniel Bannon and Daniel Bannon dealing with Shane Moffitt?
Well, I think obviously they're both guys that like to flex their internet muscles a lot, and they've been very verbal about this fight, both claiming that they will knock the other fighter out, which is interesting because they're both predominantly grapplers. I think what we see typically from Baden is that he'll use his height to test the waters and range and try to throw some punches, but ultimately he's looking to get to a position where he can use his patented armbar submission. He really likes going for it in the guard. What Shane's got to watch out for is making the most of his opportunities. When he gets an opportunity to come out there and land a big strike, to come out there if Daniel's head's up too high, go out there and land that overhand right, and not losing those opportunities. Of course, if he gets in the guard, good posture, he's got to watch out for the armbar. If he passes the side control, Batten likes to roll into his opponent's, almost exposing his back and creating a type of scrambling position. A smart fighter would capitalize on this, but it's something that Batten is known to do. So if you can't tell, I actually do know a lot about Batten. A lot of his fights are online, and I have studied him before in the past. So I feel both fighters have an excellent opportunity to win this fight. I will have to go ahead and go with Shane on this one, assuming that his head's in the right spot. And as long as he's focused, I really feel like he knows what to do to win this fight.
So, taking into consideration they both want to stay standing, if it stays on the feet, how's it going to go? I mean, seeing Daniel Bannon, he went straight from submission after submission, mostly armbars, like you said. But then his fight with Ira Lukowski, it seemed like he was really comfortable on his feet, throwing a lot of unorthodox striking, but still comfortable with a predominant striker.
Is unorthodox a nice way of saying dumb spinning kicks?
No. I don't think that.
I wouldn't hold it against you if you called some of the ways what he was doing out there kind of dumb. I think it was purposely done so. I think he was trying to bait Ira into his guard.
So do I.
And so I think he was doing it on purpose. I'm not trying to insult Daniel on that one. But I you know, as far as Daniel, I don't think Daniel's proven that he's got the kind of power that he needs to really hurt people stand-up. I think that he can use it as an opportunity to set up his ground game. I would like to see him get that power. I'd love to see anyone get knockouts, and I don't think it's outside his grasp. I think knocking people out without knees to the head at 145 is a little presumptuous. I don't think he has the weight behind it. Now, again, if you start letting him beat people in the head, is actually going to be, they're not going to be allowed. Yeah. So this fight, they won't be allowed to knee to the head standing. So if that's the case, then he's losing a big tool that his height can give him in that case. You know, I don't know personally. I know he's the is he the 155 or 145 champion for 45 for the Nemesis fighting. So he's defending his title here. He has beaten Dave Smith, who has beaten Shane in terms. So they do have mutual opponents, and one won and one didn't. From a personal standpoint, I do know Shane a little bit better than I know Daniel. I do feel like he has what it takes to win this fight, but he also has what it takes to lose the fight for himself. So nothing personal to anybody. But I think we'll have a decent fight. I don't suspect it to go past the second round at all.
I see it going to the ground pretty quick. All right, it's time for us to move on. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything you want us to respond to on a future show, please contact us at the number listed. We will try to get back with you if you leave us a voicemail, and hopefully we can address it on the next show.
Now here are your upcoming events for July. July 20th, Brawl in the Ballroom at Fisher's Ballroom. July 21st, GFL and Inner Circle Collision Course at St. Louis Sports Center. July 27th, Rumble Time MMA at Ameristar. And July 28th, Shamrock FC Chaos at Lumiere. That's it for now. Tune in next time. Special thanks to Kurt Wagner for making our wonderful hostess. Thanks again. Bye.